are live. Good morning and welcome to your perfect day starter, the Morning Brief. I'm Kayode Okikolu here in Lagos. Good to be back, Bukola.
Yes, indeed. Somebody's happy this morning and it's me. My knight in shining armor is back. Good morning and welcome to the Morning Brief on Channels Television. I am Bukola Koka.
Bukola, rain almost beat that shining armor yesterday. It rained heavily in the nation's capital, Abuja, for hours yesterday. And it looks like Lagos is about to have its fair share. And it raises a major point, which we have talked about all year long, I should say, and that's flooding. I really hope that states, whether it's FCT, local governments, are prepared for the downpour. It's not over just yet. In fact, we're getting to the peak of it in some sense. So I really hope that when the heavens open to pour out everything, we have at least some semblance of preparedness to receive it and dispose of it in a safe and non-displacing manner. I mean, displacing people, their livelihoods, and hopefully not debt. I just wanted to raise that. So if you're staying in any part of the country, start looking out for your drainage systems. If you have to speak to your local government authorities, speak to them, because the rains are coming, Bukola.
Yes, and they're here. Speaking of preparedness, one thing that you can do as a commuter, as a motorist, is just to check your cars, check your tires before you go, set out, do not speed, particularly when you're beside or behind those articulated vehicles, especially because visibility is poor when it's dark, and even when it's not and it's raining, visibility is always very poor. And as you approach your turning, do not also speed, particularly when you're behind those articulated vehicles. They always pull up surprises, and it is an abomination to drive against traffic, whether or not it rains. Just those tips that you should live by when you're driving on the roads, and they come with all other consequences as well. Your health, managing your drainages, as Kayode had said, and observing good personal hygiene when you're at home and even on the road. But there are other issues.
Oh yes, and thank you for raising that about traffic. I was heading from the airport late yesterday, and there was this articulated vehicle that did not have reflectors. The brake lights were not working, and to make matters worse, the smoke from the exhaust clouded the vehicle, so you couldn't see that there was a vehicle, talk more an articulated vehicle in front of you, because the exhaust was giving it a mystical cloud around it. And imagine on the highway, a car just rams into it because you can't see. You just think that the road is free. So I think it's important to keep check on articulated vehicles, whether day or night, because hey, they cause accidents when things are not done right. And to even make matters worse, there was an accident on the road last night. But just like the weather, the rain, there are things you can actually predict in Nigeria, Bukola. It looks like the more things change, the more they remain the same. If you look back to headlines 10 years ago, you most likely find the same challenges we're faced right now on the front pages. And I'm talking, some people say 20 years back, 30 years back, or even more. And I'm talking about what former President Goodluck Jonathan said yesterday. Bukola, it wasn't a revelation really, but it was a revisiting of, what played out during that time. So we had former President Goodluck Jonathan at an event, a book launch. Former Minister of Finance Shamsuddin Usman was launching a book. So, of course, former President Goodluck Jonathan, whom he served under, was there. And you had the former CBN Governor, Emir of Kano, Sanusi Lamido, also there. So former President Goodluck Jonathan, Bukola, mounted the podium and said, you know what, I have to address this $49 billion said to have been missing under my watch. Nothing like that happened, okay? That's one thing he addressed. And the second part is either the suspension or sacking of then CBN governor, saying, well, he didn't sack him. What he did was suspend him. Guess what? And that still played out in Nigeria last year, with the CBN governor being suspended. But we know that that suspension has become a sack. And, the $40+ billion alleged to have been missing was tied to NNPC, not remitting it into the nation's account. All of these things literally happening right now. But let's listen to former President Goodluck Jonathan, what he said, and then we'll tell you what the former CBN governor said in response to that.
The 40 plus billion dollars alleged to have been missing was tied to NNPC, not remitting it into the nation's account. All of these things literally happening right now. But let's listen to former President Goodluck Jonathan, what he said, and then we'll tell you what the former CBN governor said in response to that. we raise the expenditure of CBN, because it's the Financial Reporting Council that has the powers to audit the CBN, not the Auditor General of the Federation. And we are aware serious infractions that need to be looked at. That was the reason. Somehow the time was short, so before we finish, already is 10 or elapsed. Probably would have been called back or so.
So part of what he said yesterday said if that $49 billion was actually missing, it would crumble the economy.
And he also said that he acknowledged that there were some infractions, right, and that the Office of the Auditor General should have looked at, but time had elapsed. So why did that not happen even beyond the tenure of former President Goodluck Jonathan? You know, there's a politics of governance, and there's a politics of the economy, and there's a politics of handover, it would seem, in this country, because it now seems like it's an abomination for incoming presidents to probe former presidents. It's a rule. It's like dogs do not eat dogs, so they do not probe their predecessor in office. So those are the issues really that seem to define governance in the country. And Nigerians are very forgiving, you know, and they just look past those issues and move on and continue to hope that they are, again, that word is coming back, Kayode, knight in shining armor will come in another president. But of course, the Emir of Kano and former CBN governor had his own right of reply.
Oh, yes.
Yes, indeed.
This is what he said. When he mounted the podium, he came up and said, well, you actually sacked me. You didn't suspend me. But we know these semantics, right? This person is suspended to be probed and the person never comes back. So he says, well, he was constructively dismissed. But what he said that was also interesting was that he doesn't hold a grudge against the former president. But back to the point you made, Bukola, so we don't get lost in the back and forth. It is absurd to still have those claims flying around. I know that Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala wrote about it in her book, ordered a probe, and said there's nothing like that. But it's interesting that we've not gotten closure over 10 years after or so. We still haven't gotten closure. Whatever happens to the institutions that are meant to come out and say, well, this did not happen. We have done a forensic audit. We have even done independent audit, and it did not happen, or it happened. And that takes me to the point Bukola was raising. We need to do better when it comes to institutions in Nigeria. We can't just have these stories flying around 10 years after, and there is no closure. We need to do better. But again, the more things change, the more they remain the same. What do we have for you on the show this morning? Well, quite a package. Maybe I should unbox or unpack what I brought from the nation's capital.
Go ahead.
Well, today we're revisiting Borno State in order to stay abreast with the humanitarian situation following the dam breach and the consequent floods that displaced over 400,000 persons. We have groups saying, people who have made pledges, please redeem your pledge. We've seen pledges upon pledges upon pledges. We saw what happened at the House of Reps, also voting against that 300 million said to be planned to be given to the people of Borno State. So it's a lot to really keep abreast of, and also eyes on other states in the midst of the rains.
Kayode, if what we're seeing is the situation there, it's quite telling about what the people will be going through in Borno State. But we'll get into all of that later on. Also on the program, the travel and tourism sector is in our line of vision today with a contribution of 9.1% to global GDP. That sector is indeed one untapped, but has the potential to driving economic growth. And so today we're joining the conversation on tourism and peace and the power of travel to promote understanding among vibrant communities. That's the theme for this year's World Tourism Day.
Absolutely.
So wait for it.
Who doesn't love a good trip to a place you've never been before, a place on your bucket list?
Kayode, the Bahamas.
What happened to...
Dreams do come
What happened to Taraba? The Taraba.
Okay, we'll do the Bahamas and then we'll come back and go to Taraba.
It's okay, it's your choice. But that's all we have for you on the show this morning. Hello, content creators. This one is for you. Okay, what gives you visibility on your favorite app? How do you monetize your precious sweat investing in content creation? How does the algorithm work? How do you place yourself well? I mean, this conversation you do not want to miss. So you'll need a big bowl of the popcorn, groundnuts, whatever works for you for this one.
Okay, suya, since you said we should be patriotic.
Right. No, popcorn is also local. You can pop Nigerian corn, right?
Right.
But the point is, we're having that conversation this morning. So if you're a content creator, either a budding content creator, aspiring content creator, I think we all are content creators, that segment is for you.
For you, Kylie, as well, the big content creator. All right, so you can also be part of the show, sending your questions and your contributions. Well, our WhatsApp hand of fellowship will be available later on. It's not available right now. So we're waiting to read your comments. Of course, you're the best part of the show. So stay with us. We'll be right back for more top stories after the break.
Your top stories on the brief at this hour. The House of Representatives has referred a motion to allow other petroleum marketers lift premium motor spirit, also known as petrol, directly from Dangote Refinery to a joint National Assembly ad hoc committee. But the motion was raised by Honorable Oboko Forji, who argued that the coming on board of Dangote Refinery points Nigeria in the direction of self-sufficiency of petrol. Similarly, the House of Reps has passed a resolution to investigate allegations of bribery against the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission. And the Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, says President Bola Tinubu is making progress with the implementation of various transformative policies and reforms designed to position Nigeria as a global power among the Committee of Nations. Mr. Idris stated this in his address at the Interministerial Press Conference to unveil activities lined up to mark the 64th independence anniversary of Nigeria in Abuja. The minister also identified some landmark achievements and interventions of the current administration to include local government autonomy, ensuring macroeconomic stability, stabilizing foreign exchange regime, amongst others. And President Bola Tinubu has charged the Edo State Governor-elect, Mr. Monday Okpebholo, to hit the ground running upon inauguration to deliver the benefits of democracy to the people of the state. The president gave the charge when he received Mr. Okpebholo and his deputy governor-elect, Mr. Dennis Idahosa, at the State House, Abuja, shortly after the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, presented them with their certificates of return. And now to River State, where the Action People's Party, APP, has revealed its readiness to contest and win all positions in the upcoming local government elections in River State. The party says there are no antics by any politician that will stop the conduct of the poll. The party's executives, led by National Chairman Uchenna Nadi, stated this during a campaign rally held in Obiakpo local government area for the Rivers East Senatorial District. And outside the country, Vice President Kashim Shettima has welcomed ExxonMobil's proposed $10 billion investment in Nigeria's deepwater oil operations, describing it as a clear testament to the administration's economic reforms and investment-friendly policies. So this is coming just as international maritime giant DP World announced plans to develop a multi-billion-dollar port project in Nigeria. According to the Senior Special Assistant to the President of Media and Communications, Stanley Kwocha, the Vice President stated this during a high-level meeting on the sidelines of the ongoing 79th session of the United Nations General Assembly in New York, United States, with ExxonMobil executives and officials of DP World. And more stories now. Some prison officials of the Nigerian Correctional Service have been suspended by the Civil Defense, Correctional, Fire and Immigration Service Board. The officers were suspended after popular Nigerian cross-dresser Idris Okuneye, also known as Bobrisky, was quoted in an audio tape that he bribed the Correctional Service officials while serving his jail term. A statement made available to journalists says the service suspended Michael Enugwa, a Deputy Controller of Corrections in charge of Medium Security Custodial Center, Kirikiri, Lagos State, and Sikiru Adekunle, Deputy Controller of Corrections in charge of Maximum Security Custodial Center, also Kirikiri, Lagos State. The board also suspended ASC to Ogule Samuel Obina, serving at the Medium Security Custodial Center, Afikpo, Ebonyi State, for allegedly accompanying a convicted inmate out of a custodial center to a location outside the facility. And Israel says it has killed a Hezbollah air unit commander after carrying out airstrikes in Lebanon's capital, Beirut. 2 people were killed in the strikes and 15 injured, and Lebanese health ministry says. Earlier, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said the military would fight with full force in Lebanon after allies called for a 21-day ceasefire between Hezbollah and Israel, but Hezbollah has not commented. The Lebanese government says Israeli strikes have killed at least 28 people across the country on Thursday, with more than 550 killed since Monday. Well, sports news is next, as Executive Committee of the Nigeria Football Federation has approved the recommendation of its Technical and Development Subcommittee for the Federation's Technical Director, Coach Augustine Iguavoin, to continue in his role as a head coach of the Super Eagles and lead the team in its 2025 Africa Cup of Nations qualifying matches against Libya next month. The 58-year-old in temporary charge of the squad led 3 times previously, steered the 3-time African champions to a 3-0 defeat over Benin Republic and a goalless draw with Rwanda in match day 1 and 2 earlier this month. Iguavoin and the current technical crew, that also includes Fidelis Elechiku, Daniel Ogumodede, are meant to take full charge of those matches. Well, there you have it, the top stories at this hour. They'll form a major talking point during the course of the show. But what have you been saying about these stories and other stories trending across social media? Bukola joins me to walk through social media. Bukola.
Yes, hello again, Kadi. Nigerians are talking about a whole lot of things, particularly matters arising after the allegations, now alleged allegations by the cross-dresser that he paid prison officials, to have, a private residence while he served his 6-month jail term. That is featuring a lot in what Nigerians are talking about today. But also, we're starting with that failed crypto mining payout that has left Nigerians lamenting on social media. Their airdrop failed to, drop the alerts, so it's really painful for a lot of Nigerians. Perhaps we're going to have our colleague Ladi to come and educate us about what really happened, but some of us are grateful that we didn't invest in that right now. So who's speaking this morning? Chris is the first person, and Chris says, to even think that with the maddest graphics that #HMSTR was dishing out,
just hamster,
everywhere goes soft, only to collect between $2 to $10 after more than 3 months of tapping.
So
what does tapping
those
mean?
who know. But for those who do not know, you may have seen people tapping on their mobile phones.
Okay.
Tapping. So they're at work, they're tapping. They're eating, they're tapping their mobile phones. I saw people tapping in the weirdest of places, weirdest of times. They're in events that are solemn. I'm not going to mention where. And they're tapping. But this is what we have now. All of the tapping came to nothing, it would seem, or at least nothing to write home about. So that's the context to all of this. People were mining on their mobile phones because they told them there'll be a big payout day. And I know people listening to me understand, but let's just face front and look at the content. This next user, Stand for Truth, says the total money where I don't promise people on top Amster combat is roughly 20 million naira.
Ish.
Come on.
Did I just say that?
Make everybody relax. God go do and there you go. That's another user lamenting. But you know, when you think about these things, some will say, why do Nigerians fall for it? Or why do people generally fall for it? People are falling for multi-level marketing, Ponzi schemes. And these things keep coming again and again, and people keep falling. So it looks like there is no limits to the falling. But I wonder if people will learn from this one and not fall. So these things
are in crypto spaces too. Where do we have integrity in investment, you know, after all?
Well, the devil is usually in the detail.
In the detail, right.
And they'll tell you, we didn't promise this, we didn't promise that. But again, I wish that people would see through some of these things and say, well, if I'm not doing hard work, or at least if I'm not investing money into something that is tangible enough, something I can hold on to, or an organization I can hold on to, then I'm not doing it.
I guess that's profound guidance for everyone. To the next topic now. Bobrisky reps to probe corruption allegations against EFCC of NCS. Of course, you know, the cross-dresser. And the young nation speaks first. He says, or they say, corruption in Nigeria is Nigeria's real enemy. We must tackle institutional weaknesses, lack of accountability and cultural norms enabling it. Defamation allegations won't obscure the truth. If Falana or anyone is involved in corrupt practices, they should face scrutiny. We must prioritize justice and reform over protecting personal interests.
So there are letters, let's say, flying around, calling for retraction from Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Femi Falana, and his son, Folanri Falana, known as Falz, writing to a very dark black man, asking him to retract some of the things he said. But he's also responded through his lawyers saying, well, this is my position, and I'm not going to be cowed. These are the issues to be faced. So it's a lot of back and forth amidst all of this. But people are also saying, let us fix the institutions, because major institutions are being alleged against the EFCC, the Correctional Service, and all of that. So I think we can fix these issues one after the other and ensure that they are all fixed, rather than just getting into the murky waters and not fixing anything.
And in fixing these issues, we must also hear from the horse's mouth, perhaps yet again, because he had put out a statement, you know, after the news broke initially 2 days ago, that Nigerians should ignore, you know, that viral video or the audio where the allegation was made that it was fake, you know, sort of distancing himself from it. But then we see that, you know, the prison officials began, investigation, and now they have suspended some officials in connection with this story. So we must hear again from the cross-dresser.
Well, he's been putting out statements here and there on social media, but the FCC had also said they will start a probe, invited a very dark black man and Bobrisky, and he said, well, he's not coming to Lagos, he should stay in Abuja. It's just a lot happening, and you're wondering, what is going on here? We need to fix up. This next user is Real Prestige, saying that the action is very commendable, referring to the suspension, and thorough investigations need to be done. There could be more to this than what have been exposed. But Fisayo Shoyombo put out a tweet recently saying, well, we've been here before, that he's done investigative work about the Correctional Service, then prison, under the former minister, Aregbesola. And he said, the minister said, we're going to look at this and probe it. But he says, well, it's been years after and nothing has come out of it. The more things change, it looks like the more they remain the same. But we hope this time it is different.
All right. This is where we touch down on a review of some of the things that you're saying, but certainly not the end of the show. After this time out, we'll start with our very first conversation. We're visiting Borno State again. So stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the program. And so we start off our first conversation with Borno State. We're particularly interested in the humanitarian situation there. We recall all too clearly the disaster that occurred following the dam breach and the flooding and, the number of deaths and, of course, the displaced. We have very, very telling images about the humanitarian situation, and we hear that some of the camps are at full capacity right now. So let's check with government officials and see how they're managing the situation. And joining us to have this conversation this morning, we have the Commissioner for Information in Borno State, Professor Usman Tar. And we also have joining us perhaps later on the show. We'll have another guest later on the show, but we have Professor Usman Tar joining us on the program this morning. Let's start with Professor Usman Tar. Good morning, and thank you for joining us on the program. Can you hear me, Professor? Professor Tar?
Very well.
Very good.
I can hear you.
Yeah. Bring us, give us a sense of the management of the humanitarian camps right now, the numbers, and are many more people, joining the shelters?
No. Actually, we are experiencing exit of those IDPs that have been processed, those that have been given the initial startup pack and their resources, those whose homes have dried. Most of them have left the camps, they have returned back home, and they have started reconstruction with the disbursement that has started already. Actually, we have two categories of camp now. Those that have experienced exit, some of them total exit, some up to 90% exit. Then we have camps that are still having substantial numbers. So what we have decided to do is to do camp merger, to merge those camps that are having more numbers. And the camps that are being exited, that are being emptied and cleaned are actually schools. 40% of the camps are primary and secondary schools. And we have worked hard to empty those camps, to convince the remaining IDPs to go to the merged camps. So that is what we are working on. And actually, as I said earlier, a lot of the IDPs have actually returned back home. Because the Maiduguri is drying, the surface water has dried up significantly by over 80%, and people are actually going home. But we have a few camps in which we are still dealing with, significant numbers, and we are doing well.
Please provide clarity. You have a few camps where you're still dealing with significant numbers, or those camps that you are talking about, there's a challenge of pressure there?
Not really, because we have diverted the resources to those camps now. We were dealing with 36 camps before. Now it has gone down by over 60%. So the resources are actually diverted to those concentrated camps now, pending the exit of the IDPs from those camps too. Our aims is to ensure that people return back home on time, freely, voluntarily, and after having been convinced that their homes are dry now to commence rebuilding. So we have no pressure at all.
Well, it's very heartwarming to see that the water is receding, and I'd like you to just give us the facts on ground now. To what level or what percentage has water receded? Because I've spoken to people there who said they've returned to their homes, right? So for the ones who are still in the camp, is it as a result of the water not receding, or them just choosing to stay back? And provide us context. How much has the water receded? And I know that the state has been doing its assessment. I imagine it's a daily assessment to see where there's still water and whether or not the water has receded, and these places are safe to return to. So what percentage has the water receded, and why are those people staying back?
The water has receded by 80%. In the 20% of places where the water is yet to recede, we are dealing with lowland, very lowland. Along Muna area, we have very lowland places, the 505 housing estate. These are very low places where it will take few more days for the water to recede totally. The people that are yet to return back home are those people whose homes are still wet. That is the situation for now. Maiduguri is on a sandy soil. The stagnant waters that are remaining, we are draining them out, but the soil is also consuming a lot of the water. We anticipate that in the next few days, water will dry totally. Just few days, inshallah.
All right. The reason I asked is if 80% of the water has receded, then you expect that 80% of people in the camps would have returned home and there will be less pressure. 80% is a lot. So I expect that 20% are the people still left. But hearing that the camps are still filled is a bit, conflicting.
No. Let me correct you. Though the water has receded by 80%, some of the homes still needs assessment. Some of the homes are still fragile. Not all homes where the water has dried are ready for reoccupation. So if the water has receded 80%, the people, the IDPs, we can't say up to 80% have returned home. Please, there is a margin that we are dealing with. And this is because we don't want to allow people to go to unsafe homes. Some homes, because of the total number of days that they have stayed underwater, they are weak. So we are careful not to allow these people to return home. Those homes that are dry and safe for reconstruction, these are the homes where we allow people to go back. So please, 80% is for recession of the water, but for the IDPs that have returned, the number is less. We are taking the tally right now.
All right. So for the camps that are still operational, tell us about the water and sanitation, hygiene, wash situation in those camps. And on another level, the planned release, or what seems to have commenced, of release of water from the Lagdo Dam as announced by NICSA. Is there any concern that Borno, although not listed, but may be susceptible because of its low-lying level?
Thank you very much. The camp situation, we have continued to expand and improve on the water, clean water, provision of clean water to the camp. We already have boreholes in those camps that are still holding people, like the Bakassi camp and the other camps to the Dalori camp. Healthcare facility, we have already expanded. In fact, we channeled the facilities from the camps we are closing to the camps that are still active. And the feeding system, we are continuing to allow feeding to be provided to those that are in the camp. But at the same time, we have also asked our partners and also our own feeding system, we have diverted it to the communities too, where people are returning. With regards to the Lagdo Dam, we are yet to, we may be at the marginal receiving end of the Lagdo Dam. We are not the state that is really at the receiving end of the dam, but that said, water is a very mysterious element, and we are prepared for any consequences of the opening of the Lagdo Dam.
Also, donations that have come through to Borno, by the calculation of some, may have entered the region of over 13 billion naira. And we've also heard of very recent donations to Borno State to deal with the humanitarian situation. But these donations look more, like a tidier sum than what should just be expended on humanitarian situation. So what is the state government's proposal for preventive measures, for these funds to be deployed to?
Thank you very much. We have received over 13 billion pledges and donations, but cash at hand is over 8 billion naira. And those pledges is, the bank processes and so on. We anticipate to receive all the 13 billion naira. And it's still counting. People are still donating. Organizations are still donating. I want to use this opportunity to thank our donors for their kind hearts and for the show of emotion. Most of the donors actually came to Maiduguri. They did not send it virtually. Most of them came to Maiduguri and gave the donation. And we are very thankful to all of them for that. For those that sent virtually through the bank, we are also very thankful. Now, this morning, the state government established, His Excellency, the Executive Governor, established a committee on cash disbursement. The committee comprises, government officials, that is the Director Monitoring. We have university professors. We have representatives from EFCC, armed forces, and donors. So it's a very all-encompassing committee. The committee has independence to, determine its the eligibility criteria for homes that are to be supported. So the resources, the committee is going to use the resources to provide cash support to households who were affected by the flood. It will also provide cash support to businesses that were affected by the flood. The committee is to commence, it is to commence its disbursement any minute from now. So those resources, His Excellency has assured the public, the donors, that every kobo will be channeled for the purpose of recovery, nothing else.
We'll break down what recovery means, but I just want to speak to the redemption of the pledge, because I know that some groups had appealed to those who had, promised, donated, and all of that to redeem the pledge. So you say you have 8 billion cash at hand, so that will leave at least 6 billion left to be redeemed. Am I correct?
Yes.
Okay.
It's not yet to be redeemed. Some of them are already lodgement in the banks.
Right.
If a donor donates, like Abdussamad Rabiu, he donated 2 billion naira, 1 billion cash, 1 billion in kind. That one has to go through the bank. It takes time for the due process and due diligence to be effected. That is the reason why some of the delays that you are seeing. Otherwise, in the coming days, we anticipate that these donations, they will all trickle into the account. So we have no problem whatsoever. We are very, very delighted with the donors, and we are very convinced with their show of emotion. Nobody will come all the way to Maiduguri, pledge 10 million naira, 20 million, 100 million, and then, not to redeem the pledge. Many actually came with their checks, and we lodged the checks. Some of the checks takes time because of the interbank transfer processes.
Right.
So we have no problem whatsoever.
All right. We'll still touch on the situation we heard reported earlier, that there were people who were just going to the camps, understandably, the economic situation, not because they were displaced, right, but because there was free food in that sense for them. I want to ask if Borno State is looking at the bigger humanitarian situation, not the one caused by the flood, but the one that has been ongoing because of the economic situation. But I want us to still talk about the recovery process, right? So you said that all of these monies will go into recovery. So let's break down recovery. There's the dam bit. They said that 400 million naira had been spent on the dam, which you understand there's the old and the new dam. The one that broke. So is recovery going to go to that part as well to ensure that this does not happen again? Is recovery also going into investigating what exactly happened so we can come to a closure and say, oh, this is what happened? If there's anybody that needs to be probed or reprimanded, this is what we're doing. And if there's something we need to do to ensure it doesn't happen again, we're doing it. So how is that being handled, Commissioner?
Thank you very much. Our priority for now is the reconstruction of homes and businesses, reconstruction of broken public facilities, boreholes, roads, and so on. That is the priority for now. investigation is maybe is along the way, maybe later. For the dam, we have been carrying out regular maintenance of the dam. We shall continue to carry out regular maintenance, but please note that the dam is a facility of the federal government. We have always provided our own peripheral support, maintenance support from a subnational entity. That one will continue. And even before the donation, state government has used its ecological fund and other resources to carry out the maintenance. So the donation, for now, the priority is the people who are directly affected by the flood. We don't want to be diverted.
I just want to follow up on that. I wonder why the state government is prioritizing handouts above climate resilient solutions, reconstruction, as Akayode said, for the dam, or even the construction of a new dam, such that Borno is no longer susceptible to these kinds of disasters in the future. And what assurance is there, that this committee that has been set up to oversee the disbursement of what seems more like handouts will not, will be removed from compromising the process, and there would be no cases of corruption and embezzlement of these funds?
I want to take serious exception to your mention of all this handout and corruption. There is nothing like a small handout. It's a big disbursement will commence going into the families. The handouts that you see of 10,000 naira is from the resources of the state government prior to the disbursement of the donations. The donations now will go out in big chunks to the affected families and businesses. So please don't say it's a handout. In addition, we are also investing in climate resilience, of course, and also in the dam too. But that one will take time. We have sat with the two ministers of water resources, visited Borno State, they visited the dam, and they promised to look into sustainable, longer-term reconstruction and management of the dam. All this, we have to sit down with the federal authorities in order to look into sustainable and longer-term management and issues of climate resilience with regards to the dam. Even prior to the flooding, Borno State government has invested heavily in climate resilience, in public enlightenment, in carrying out constructions of dikes, of edifices that will support climate resilience using our budgetary resources. So we now have an additional resource. And all these resources will go into not only provision of support for families, for households, but also for bigger issues of climate resilience, of environmental protection, and so on. His Excellency, the Executive Governor of Borno State, has assured all donors that the resources shall be utilized judiciously. And you know what that means when Governor Zulum said that. He is a person that is very transparent, and he has picked transparent team. And the fund disbursement committee comprises of all the stakeholders. Be rest assured, your audience should be rest assured that all these members, EFCC, ICPC, all the members, armed forces, they will make sure that the fund go into targeted investment, short term, medium term, and longer term.
Professor, sir, are you saying that the entire 13 billion naira is what is going into rebuilding homes and businesses? And apart from that, or is the 3 billion naira released by the federal government to states, which Borno has also benefited from, part of this 13 billion naira?
The federal government allocation, I think, is a standalone. It will go into, purposes intended. This 13 billion naira donation is a one-off donation. It will be appropriated, and it will be used to target, short, medium, and longer-term solutions. in addition to providing immediate succor to those who are affected. So it's a cash at hand. It's a fund that will be utilized consistent with financial regulations and extant law.
All right. On a final note, because I understand that you have to run quite a busy day as you would expect, and it's a double-edged sword. From the projections, and I know that the government is speaking with those who are in the know, the experts. Is this likely to happen again in Borno State? If you have projections about that, is a flooding likely to happen again? And I imagine you've done some feasibility studies and some simulations. Will they happen again? Secondly, the bigger humanitarian situation. I talked about people who are choosing to stay in camps, not because they are displaced by flood, but because there's food there. And a reporter was there, she reported on that. So is there also some move to deal with the bigger humanitarian situation as a result of the economic, conditions?
Thank you very much. Whether the flood will happen again or not, well, the projection showed that, the last time this flood happened at a lower scale was 30 years ago. So even if it will happen in the future, our projection, based on the expert assessment, is that it will take a long time before this kind of event happens again. And we have a sufficient time to, build structures that will withstand any future occurrence. And the fund will be partly used for that. With regards to the bigger humanitarian situation, I don't want to say, we are, in a very dire situation. Prior to the flood, we have decommissioned all the IDP camps, with the exception of about 2 informal camps in Maiduguri. People have returned back to their villages and towns. We have opened up big farms, mega farms, village farms. We have secured villages, towns. People are farming. We anticipate that this year we shall get, multiple yield in terms of agricultural output. People are beginning to take care of themselves before this flooding. So the bigger humanitarian situation you're talking about, I don't think it exists. That's it. We have few people around surrounding the camps that decided to troop into the camps to get free food. If you want to call this bigger humanitarian situation, well, what we have done is to ask these people to return back home. And His Excellency, even while we invest in agriculture and sustainable livelihood, His Excellency, the Borno State government has continued to, provide food palliatives to the people because close to the harvest time, hunger level rises in Borno State. So we have closed the gap by providing food to communities at that. This is the time. Probably this is the reason why some people trooped into the camps. But we have taken care of the situation. I want to submit that we are not in the dire humanitarian situation that you are trying to depict.
All right. Professor Usman Tar, I want to thank you very much. And we hope that the funds that have come to Borno as a result of the disaster that happened some weeks back will be deployed to transformative purposes such that wealth can be created in Borno State. And when we return next time, we'll be talking about people that are empowered, not a majority of the population, just visiting IDP camps because of hunger. Thank you very much for your time on the program. We've been speaking with the Commissioner for Information, Borno State, Professor Usman Tar. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
And we continue yet again with this level of conversation. This time around, we'll be talking with Mr. Kundia Epemilo Philip, an environmentalist, farmer, and public analyst and politician. Good morning and welcome to the program. Thank you for holding on.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Staying with Borno, the Commissioner for Information has provided assurances that there is no pressure in the camps, and indeed the wash situation, that's the water and hygiene in those camps, is in place, fully in place, and the people are being fed. I'd like you to confirm if these are if this is the situation from your own observation in your work in those areas as well.
Yeah. Well, you know, yeah, people have been fed and they watch their things that have been put in place to ensure that people are well fed and their hygiene. But what is worrying is the number. There is a camp that has about 38,000 people, and about 6,000 people have been added to that camp. Now, the number is much. We are talking of a very huge number of people, and you know what needs to go there, the amount of things that need to go there for those people to be comfortable. And that is the problem. Yeah, there might be provision of things, but the number of people in those camps, it's overwhelming, and it can be much. So yeah, like the Honorable Commissioner said, the government and other sister agencies and donors are helping to see how they will cushion the effect of the flood and what is happening at the camp. But the number is overwhelming, and it will take a lot for people to be comfortable. That is the situation. Like you mentioned, I didn't hear much of what the Honorable Commissioner said because of the network. So I wouldn't comment much on that on that regard.
So you say it's overwhelming. Then what's your assessment of how NEMA officials, sister agencies, and the state government, what's your assessment of how they're managing the situation?
Well, they are trying their best at the moment, but like I said, the number is overwhelming, and there are people that are not even affected by the flood, but they are also in trooping to those camps, and they are adding more pressure to the work generally. But NEMA as an organization and the state government and other sister agencies are collaborating, and they are doing so far so good. They are doing well, and we hope that it will, in the days that are coming, it will be much better.
Right. So let's talk about your constituency, farmers, because farmers are also at the receiving end. We've seen flooding wash farmlands, Kaduna and other parts of the country. Imagine that Taraba has had its fair share as well. So speak to us about how this is affecting food production. This is a time we need all of the food we can get. So when we see flooding coming to impact that, is clearly not what we want to see. But give us a picture of at least how it's affecting farming, production of it, and eventual harvest in general.
Yeah, I think many areas that are lying on the coast of the river Benue and the environs have a lot of problems in time that are caused as the consequence of this flood that came. So many farmlands in those areas have been washed away. Other crops have been covered by water, and of course, this is going to affect food production this year. There's nothing that can be done at the moment because those areas are actually where farmers usually have bumper harvest, but those areas have been covered by flood. And some of the crops, like we discussed earlier, they were stunted. Their growth process was stunted because of the drought we had. And this is just the time that most of the crops are trying to recover back, and it is coming at the time that a flood is coming. And this is not just the end of it, because there has been alert that the dam at Cameroon would also be open, and many people have been advised to evacuate their area. So what is coming is huge, and farmers are at the receiving end of it, and it is going to affect food production generally.
And based on what you have said, how reassuring is the commissioner's words about how the funds will be deployed? Will it address the situation that farmers are currently faced with? And perhaps you would also want to talk about how you think the funds that have come to Borno State as a result of the flood should be disbursed.
Yeah, like I said, I did not hear much of what the Honorable Commissioner said concerning the funds that got to Borno and how it is going to be disbursed.
Let me help you out with that.
I don't know what model.
Let me help you out with that. He says that the funds will be deployed to reconstruction of homes and businesses. That's what he said.
No, well, I don't know the model they are going to use, but farming should also be taken as a business. And whosoever that is affected, farmers that are affected on that region should also be considered, and not just those living in the urban areas whose businesses and homes are got affected as the result of the flood. But if we do due diligence, I think special attention should be given to farmers. Because whatever we do at the end of the day, if there is no food, enough food for us to eat, there will be more humanitarian crisis as a result of hunger that we arrive. And that dam, the allowed dam, was specifically constructed to serve as a source of irrigation for agri. So I think special attention should be given so that farmers will be able to go into irrigation farming this season, in fact, starting from October, November, so that there will be more food production in Maiduguri. Because at the end of the day, if you concentrate just in the urban areas and those homes that are affected, we are going to have a much bigger crisis later on. And like you rightly mentioned, there are so many people. There is one of the camp, I've forgotten the name of the camp, about 6,000 people added to that camp of recent. Now, those 6,000 people, you can guess that they are not in that camp because they were affected by flood, but because there is free food. Already we are in a crisis, hunger crisis, and people are looking for where to get food to eat. And the farmers should be taken into consideration, because whatever that is going to happen on the long run, we will need food to eat. And whatever Borno State government wants to do with the donations that they got, farmers should be taken into cognizance, because them too, they are involved in businesses.
Right. So there's the reality on ground, and then there's the politics that affects the reality on ground. And when I say politics, I mean the policies that come from governments, right? Politics at the end of the day should influence, policies. You've seen the approach of the government at the federal and state level, federal government taking the lead regarding environmental issues, food production, and the rest. And I wonder, as a player in that sector, are you feeling the impact? Because the government has said, well, they are making major milestones. Ministers spoke to the country yesterday ahead of the 64th independence anniversary, and they said, well, there have been landmark achievements of this government. Even the president has said that ministers should go out and speak about the work they're doing so Nigerians will know. So let me use you as a test. Do you see all of the impact of the work that the federal government says it's doing, particularly in the area of food production and the environments that affect you? Do you feel the positive impact, or nothing has changed?
Really, I would say nothing has changed. That's the truth of the matter. Because on paper, there are policies. On paper, there are intentions. You hear government, the federal government distributing fertilizers and other farm inputs to farmers. But distributing fertilizer in September does not solve the farmers' problem, because by September, you wouldn't even have need for fertilizer anymore. So if on the paper it will be written, you will see it there, that this is what the government has done. And the government can actually go out and say it did this. And of a truth, it did. The government has done that. But then the timing is very, very important. And this is why most farmers have not felt the impact of whatever the government is doing. And also, we need to have grown past this stage, that we don't need to be doing new farmers registration every year. We would have known who are our farmers by now and who need this support. Because even when this farming input and other things comes, you begin to wonder who are the people that are getting it. And at the end of the day, it ends up in the hands of market people. Because those that are given some of this input are not real-time farmers. But we don't even have data that says this is our farmer. This is the number of food that this farmer, the quantity of food that this farmer is producing and need this help. We need to move from the way we do things and do it differently. Let whatever input, whatever policy, whatever drive the government is doing to ensure that food production is increased, let it be tailored rightly to the right people that will ensure that the input and whatever is put in the right use and also the right result to be gotten. If we don't do that, we always have it that this thing has been done. And of a truth, it has been done. But what is the timing? And who are the people that got that actually receive that help, that actually receive those inputs from the government? This is what is at stake at the moment. Because most farmers are only struggling by themselves to see how they will be able to help themselves and sustain their businesses and trade.
And indeed, we hope that somehow by proxy or directly, particularly, following the appearance of the Commissioner for Information of Borno State on this same platform as well, that the message has been taken to them, the message on sustainability and climate resilient solutions, particularly for farmers amid the current, weather conditions and patterns as predicted. We want to thank you very much for your time on the program. We've been speaking with Mr. Kundila Ekpemilo Philip, who is a farmer, public analyst, and politician. Mr. Philip joins us from Taraba State. Thank you so much for your time on the program.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
What a conversation. There's more to come. This time we'll be switching gears to look at our progress and challenges as we celebrate World Tourism Day. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
They say when you travel far enough, you'll meet yourself. So today, we're talking World Tourism Day. Everybody loves a good trip, right? Maybe not everyone. Right, but most people love a good trip, visit new places, just experience life from another perspective. But how is that reality playing out in Nigeria, particularly when it comes to linking all of those beautiful sites and locations to economic growth, employment, GDP growth, and the rest? Today, we're joined on the program by the president of the National Association of Tour Operators, Bolaji Mustafa. Haji, welcome to the Morning Brief.
Yes, good morning.
Well, I know that today is a big day for you as, the national president of the Association of Tour Operators. And this is all-encompassing, really, from flights to destinations to hospitality services. This is a huge industry. But I'd like you to speak first to the theme of this year's celebration or commemoration, that is tourism and peace. And essentially says that tourism is meant to be a tool for peace. So cultures, nations can interact by a virtue of tourism and get to understand each other better. But how has that played out in the context of Nigeria for you as a player in that sector? Why? I ask because it's tough, for example, to travel to some parts of a country by road. So I want to explore some places, but I'm worried that going by road might be a bit tricky for me. So how is Nigeria playing in the context of that theme, tourism and peace?
Yes, we're advocating for peace today, so that, without peace, tourism cannot exist. Just like where you don't have peace, you have issues of security, there won't be tourism. So today we're advocating for peace so that tourism can survive. So that's why we are connecting with different local government, different areas to celebrate World Tourism Day, to advocate what peace means, to work with them, collaborate with different stakeholders so that we can all join and to advocate for tourism in this part of the world, Nigeria. So that's why we're working with different people among ourselves, among different stakeholders, with different company, with local government. Everybody is coming together, advocating for peace today, so that we will be able to talk about tourism. Saying you mentioned maybe if you want to travel from one place to another. So that's why in each of these destinations, we are telling them what peace is, let me say, maybe talking to the villagers, talking to everybody, that if there's peace, then tourism will survive, and we can make a lot of benefit from that, and it will actually add to the development and the growth of this of Nigeria.
There's this book, I personally call it The Tourism Bible of Nigeria by Dayo Adedayo, and I imagine you've seen that Tour Nigeria book. I keep flipping through it every other day because I see these locations and I'm like, first, this is Nigeria, right? Wow, my Nigeria. And you want to go to these places. So I want us to also speak about those destinations. As a tour operator, these destinations and the gold that lies in it, the money that flows. I know you see the money. You don't have to tell us how much, because we can tell you, by the way, how much it contributes to the GDP, but it's not near enough where we ought to be. So let's speak to some of the, ways we can now link the locations with the economy. First, the economy of the locales and the economy of the nation. The very first one is flight ticket. And I'll let you take it away from there. If you want to travel now, it's over 100,000 for just, one way. Imagine two-way, 200 plus. So how is tourism really doing in Nigeria in the context of that as well?
Yes. Yes, you mentioned the flight. There are some places that a lot of people get on flight now because some of the roads are not good, or some of the roads are not safe. If these roads are safe, a lot of people will go on the road. They will feel comfortable, like now going from here to Benin, to Badagry, and all this place, to flying to Cotonou. You rather get on the boat or go by road. So if all this place, we need to develop the road, develop all the locations where we have tourism, so that it will be easy for people to navigate through. Yes, the rates of flights is somewhere even from here to Ghana, or from here to Togo, or from here to Cotonou. But I think the government is doing something. They're trying to pave way. I think the waterways is also the in thing now, going from here to Benin to Cotonou, because I have some people who are going to be coming in from those destinations now to Nigeria to come and celebrate World Tourism Day. Some of our tour operators, some of our members are actually coming in by boat to celebrate World Tourism Day with us here. So if all these places are being worked on, and I see that on the waterways now there is a lot of security. There's no issue of kidnapping here and there. If all those are being worked on, there's full security on the road. The road network is good. People will be able to, there'll be peace. You feel free to go on those roads, to go anywhere to enjoy tourism. Without that, tourism cannot survive. Then you won't be able to. For example, from here to Ilorin, it's supposed to be Kwara. Going on tourism, so not supposed to take more than 3-4 hours. And if the road is not safe, people will prefer to fly. And all this thing adds to the value, adds to the ICOP and the price increase of flights. So, but that way, I think if you're able to navigate way and do all this on the road, it will cushion the effects of what is happening presently.
Wow, your plans make me excited, and in fact, wanting to join you on the celebration of World Tourism Day. But that's where I'm headed now. Let's talk about the opportunities. And as you spoke, I felt guilty because at the start of the program, when the opportunity came to talk about tourism dreams, I went to the Bahamas first before considering home. So tell us about the opportunities inherent in for people who are considering tourism as a field for practitioner, the opportunities, because how many young Nigerians would say, when I grow up, I want to become a tour guide? So what are the opportunities in the tourism value chain, despite the challenges that we obviously find ourselves in?
Yeah, there's a lot of potential. In fact, I'll tell you, tourism is our next oil. It's our oil presently, because that's where we would end up to be. We have to develop what we have in Nigeria, because we have a lot of potential. And that's why we as tour operator are coming out to actually talk about our own story. A lot of people out there say different things about Nigeria, and they don't really tell the story. That's why we as Nigerians need to tell our own story, need to tell the world about the potentials that we have. Even some of the foreigners know the potentials that Nigeria has to offer for tourism. And that's why we are coming out there to say, using some of the tourism sites to actually celebrate World Tourism Day, to showcase some of these tourism sites so that people can see that, oh, really, where is this? Is this really happening in Nigeria? And they want to come, they want to see the place. So there's a lot of potential. And for anybody, there's a lot of young people now that we're mentoring to actually see tourism as a great potential, to actually see it that you don't have to actually work in an oil company or something. There's a lot to do in the tourism industry. We want to bring people in to Nigeria so that we can also earn in dollars, not going out there to spend dollars, so that they can see our potential there. Because once you take people on a tour to say, okay, this is it, from the potential starts from the pickup from the airport to the destination, booking hotel accommodation, booking flights for them, taking them to some of these tourism sites, even for the food that they will eat, and showcasing and seeing what Nigeria has to offer is a lot. It's a lot that I cannot explain it, but there's a lot of potential and there's money in tourism. Honestly, that is our new oil. And I pray, I know we're getting close now. The things are changing. People are beginning to really understand. Nigerians are beginning to travel within Nigeria and also within Africa. So that's way our young people can also leverage on working and taking tourism as the next, profession to work. It's a great job and very interesting. I love the field, and that's the passion that is keeping me on. But now we're moving from passion to business. So there's a lot of potential in the tourism business.
So I want you to pitch to a panel of leaders now. This is World Tourism Day and their conference is ongoing. So if you were to pitch to a committee of the Ministry of Tourism, for instance, what would you be highlighting about the infrastructural deficits in major tourism sites across the country. We're talking about our national parks, those monuments. So what are the infrastructural deficits that you find there in your many trips and journeys around across Nigeria that need to be provided in order to shore up, to attract more Nigerians at home, abroad, and in fact expatriates, to come and see what Nigeria has?
Yeah, okay. I'll put this to the Ministry of Tourism. Of course, the minister has been doing a lot lately, going to most of these destinations, because if you don't visit, you can only, for me, I go to all these destinations so that I know the products I am selling. So they have also taken it as a point of duty to visit most of these destinations so that they know what the problem is, what they need to fix in most of these. For different parks, all this tourism, we just need the government intervention to actually, work on this, on the major tourism site, so that it's habitable and it's okay for us to sell this destination, and we can start turning them and start making money from this. And the government can also tap in from generating a lot of revenues for this. For example, we've chosen going on the marina, the train station, the Blue Rain that we have. So most of the Nigerian tour operators and all the people are joining us from marina to National Theatre. And we have also the support of the Lagos State, which is the SSA. Idris Aregbe. He's been doing a wonderful job. He's going to join us with Lamata team from marina to National Theatre to see how we can actually take people on tour if we're going from here to Abeokuta or from different ways, so that you can do a tour trade to different destinations. We're going on that. We're visiting some of the art studio inside the National Theatre. These are some of the hidden gems that people don't really know. And the icing on the cake is the railway station. We have the Jekyll. A lot of people don't even know that a Jekyll house, the mini museum, exists in that place. You need to see what is there. You need to see where we'll be going on tour, to see the old parts of the railway station where it begins from, and they have a very beautiful picnic there. There's a lot of hidden gem in Nigeria that the government needs to tap into, develop this destination, and let people of Nigeria and the tour operator make the benefits, best use of it. So I'm advocating for development of this. I can't mention all the tour sites here, because it's a lot. It's a lot. There's a lot of hidden gem out there, and government needs to, come on board to identify, visit some of these places to develop there. Lagos State needs to visit those tour sites, especially in Lagos, not the known ones, the hidden ones that you don't know. Those are the ones we go to, identify them, promote them, and let government do something so that it's habitable for people to relax and enjoy themselves in some of these tour locations.
So what time did you call that your tour again? Because you mentioned places. What time is it again? Maybe we'll talk about that on this side.
Everybody's heading way now to Marina. Right. That's the Skyline Marina. Getting on the train, we have the Obaku Shoko as well. They're coming on board with us.
You've hyped this event so much now that I imagine everybody will want to join you. You've really
Everybody is keen in on this one. People are traveling from Lagos, from everywhere to join us on Tourism Day. Getting on the train from Marina to the National Theatre. From the National Theatre, we're going to the art studio. We're visiting and looking at all the railway station. Okay, you know what?
Let me come in there, because you mentioned
that is happening now at National Theatre.
Fantastic, and I want to come in here because you mentioned the National Theatre. You kept saying government should come on board. I don't know how much government can take on, or whether or not it has proven that it's able to manage, these resources well. And National Theatre, for example, has been renovated by the Bankers Committee. That's the private sector coming in. Yes. So really, I don't know, has government proven itself as a good manager of tourist sites. I think the model that has been postulated or that has been prescribed is that government should provide all of the, regulatory framework, some sort of, security, infrastructure to some extent, but allow the private sector to be the ones at least largely managing it, because they are quick on their feet, they are nimble, they are able to, 80% of the operators in the tourist industry, according to the minister, are below 40 years of age. A lot of them are able to bring technology on board. Most of them, are not in the civil service. So maybe that's something we also need to drum in, the role of private sector in this one, don't you think?
Yes, the role of private sector is very key. Even if government develop any product without involving the stakeholder, it cannot survive. The tour operator, the stakeholder, the private sector are the one to actually key in, to promote this destination, to sell it. Like for my team, for my members now, we are all going out there. We locate inside National Theatre. You will not believe there's an hidden gem there, which is an art studio. Inside there's a lot, not only the theater itself. I'm saying within the environment, you have the art studio there, you have the railway station there. Most of the members, we have over 200 members who are going to be present there. The local government of the mainland local government is also joining us here. That's the piece, that's the collaboration we're talking about.
Okay.
All these people will be using the social media platform, their phones, everything, because you mentioned technology, to actually showcase this destination, promote it, and, advocate to the world. And where that can get to. All the people in the diaspora see that Nigeria and the NATOP, Nigeria Tour Operators Association, is celebrating World Tourism Day by showcasing. We don't just go or do conferencing alone. We go to the tourism site.
Quick one here because of time. I want us to, as much as possible, sell this idea. We've talked about the role of government, private sector, but the people who visit the site. The minister was talking about 1.2 million visits into the country, and I think much more for domestic tourism trips in Nigeria. But I want you to speak to this. The average, I don't know if the average Nigerian sees tourism as on the top 10 on their list of priorities, right? So there's food. Food is like maybe 1 to 5. And then there's petrol, there's housing, then maybe tourism is on the next page or on another book entirely. So what do you say about the tourism seeking behavior of Nigerians, if there's anything like that? And how much do you need to engage in tourism, just see new places? Is there a threshold? Is there a way you can go for tourism on a budget so that Nigerians can begin to see themselves as potential tourists, right?
You'll be shocked. Lately, because of the high increase in maybe flights or traveling outside Nigeria, a lot of Nigerians are beginning to do tourism within Nigeria. I can tell you, a lot of people are beginning to see that, they need to take out some time to rest. They need to, explore some of this destination, and the turnout has been increasing. Even myself, most of the requests I normally receive is to say, I want to go to London, to go to, Dubai and all that. So, and maybe some of these places too, because they've actually shut down Nigeria, people are beginning to look inward, and the government are also trying to develop. Lagos State is doing a lot to develop some of these tourism sites. So that's why people are beginning to visit. All right. And
so can I go on tourism for 20,000 naira, 10,000 naira? Is that possible?
Yes, you can.
Where can I visit?
You can, just some of these places. You can visit the Lekki Convention Center. That's one from here.
Okay, that's minus transport too.
Exactly. That's what I'm going to say that.
With 20,000 naira, I can tell you can do the tour of the mainland. The tour of the mainland.
Okay.
All right.
You can do the tour of the mainland. You can visit Nike Art Gallery. You can visit what's it called? Lekki Convention Center.
Or you can just stroll around your area. You don't have to spend money.
You can walk the railway. The railway from here to Ebute Metta to actually visit the Jekyll House will not even cost you up to 20,000 naira.
The
Jekyll House Museum. To visit and go through the story of that railway, the house itself. A lot of films are being shot in this house and people don't even know about it.
I'm going to add to your title, official Lagos State tour guide. That's what I'm adding to your title.
Yes, I'll take it.
Well, there you have it.
I'll take it because we're partnering with Lagos State soon to start doing Lagos city tour.
Okay, there you go. We have to anchor at this point. I know it's a big day, but I'm hoping that we can really come together to get the best from that sector. We've been speaking with Bolaji Mustafa, President, National Association of Tour Operators, on this World Tourism Day. Thank you. I wish you the very best.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you so much.
We'll take a moment now. When we return, to all of the lovers of social media, content creators, well, this is a call for you to come on board. We're talking about how to make use of social media, the algorithm, content creating, and we're focusing on one of your favorite social media platforms. Did I hear you say TikTok? That's in a moment. Stay with us. Well, you are always on it most times, so nobody should pretend like they don't go on TikTok, right? So let's have this conversation. Old and young, we have our favorite social media platforms, and definitely TikTok has come a long way. We're joined on the program this morning by the head of content operations for Sub-Saharan Africa TikTok, Buniswa Sidwaba. She's right here with us in our Lagos studio. Good morning. Welcome to the Morning Brief.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
See, there's a lot we want to ask you, about TikTok.
Let's have the discussion.
This is as a result of what people are sending in, not us, right? But I want to start with the story of TikTok. And I think it's important to put this in context. Now, there have been social media platforms before TikTok. Remember High Five?
I don't.
High Five is such a long time ago, before Facebook. So there was High Five, right? And a lot of people were big on High Five. Then Facebook came and people thought, oh, wait a minute, something better than High Five. So people forgot High Five. Those who remember High Five, say hi. If you're watching us on YouTube and all of that. Then there's been a lot of transition from Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat. Forgive me if I can't mention every one of them because it's hard to keep track. Then TikTok came. And, it's tricky for a lot of people because I wonder, how did TikTok come and just take a lot of attention? So tell us about the USP of TikTok, the story about the brand, what the brand came up with to, get the attention of a lot of young people. So what is the story of TikTok? How did you get all of this attention in such, short frame of time?
Okay. Thank you for that question. I think where I'd like to start is just kind of resetting everyone's minds around how to position TikTok. So a lot of people will say or refer to TikTok as a social media platform, but where TikTok sits is actually between being a traditional social media platform and a traditional entertainment platform. We're actually a video entertainment platform that then allows people to share their perspectives and share their voices. So we're not really a traditional social media platform. And the reason for that is because people actually come to TikTok to discover content. So people don't actually come to TikTok to check, to check where someone has checked in, to check where someone is staying. They actually come to TikTok to discover content. And then once they discover that content, some of them will want to express themselves creatively. So we see ourselves as a video entertainment platform that allows people to express their voices. So now, just going back to how TikTok came into the picture, I think one of the biggest things that we pride ourselves in as a brand is that we're a brand that allows people to express themselves authentically, one. Number two, there's a place for everyone. There's a seat for everyone at the table. So whether you're 13 plus and above, 16 and above, whether you're 18, whether you're 25, whether you're 50, there's something for you on the platform. So what starts to happen on TikTok is that people look for specific types of content, and then what happens is communities are created around those types of content. So some of our popular communities are hashtag learn on TikTok, hashtag book talk, hashtag moms of TikTok, hashtag edutalk. So that is how communities are created that cater to different types of people's interests. So that's really what I think made the platform popular, is people discovered that, oh, actually, I can come to the platform as myself. I don't need to be glossy. I don't need to, look fancy. I don't need to, have this representation of a life that is possibly not real. The key about it is authentic expression, and I think that is how it started going viral, and that's how people started seeing the videos. People wanted to interact with the trends because they could see, oh, this is an app for everyone. Everyone has a seat at the table.
Talk to us about the demography, maybe on the Nigerian space now on TikTok. And you talked about entertainment, earlier on, that's one of the first few, thrusts of TikTok as it began. So there's a lot of comedy, there's a lot of dancing and expression. So what does this say about the tastes of the Nigerian content creators on TikTok? And perhaps you could want to expand it to Africa, on that space on TikTok.
Yeah, so I think if we're looking at sub-Saharan Africa, the types of content or the types of categories that are popular there are a lot of similarities, but I think what we see in Nigeria is definitely we see a lot of skit makers, a lot of comedy creators, and that's from the beginning. It's actually one of the categories that's remained consistent. We definitely obviously see a lot of musicians using the platform as well. We've recently announced the launch of a distribution platform called SoundOn, which allows musicians to basically distribute their music. So that has also helped with the surge of music trends going viral on the platform. We see a lot of beauty creators as well. Some amazing, really well-crafted content coming out of Nigeria specifically. And I think on the rise, we're seeing a lot of sports entertainment creators as well. We're seeing a lot of entertainment creators who are creating kind of facts about films, facts about TV series. I would say largely comedy, music trends, entertainment, sports, lifestyle, beauty, fashion, as well as food. Food is another category that's quite big, specific to Nigeria. So those things are kind of similar across sub-Saharan Africa. I think the biggest distinction is the comedy aspect. So comedy definitely is, a vertical or a category that is growing quite fast in Nigeria specifically.
We definitely love our comedy and our food.
And our food.
I'm glad you mentioned that. So this conversation is really about two things, honestly. How to make money off TikTok on the one hand, and then cracking the algorithm. TikTok made celebrities out of... And so this is saying you can be somebody without knowing anybody and all of that. It's quite interesting how TikTok is able to now create celebrities that are relevant to mainstream social media, even though you said that TikTok is not social media. So talk to us. How do you crack this algorithm? Because it looks like TikTok's algorithm is out of this world. I have had people sit down to research about TikTok algorithm and they say, yes, I got a handle on it. And they tried and nah, I don't have a handle on it. What's going on?
Okay, so I think to simplify, and I think I touched on it a little bit earlier as well. So it goes back to that concept of the way that the algorithm works is it's not based on the number of followers you have. It's based on the quality of the content. You can have 10 followers on TikTok, but if that piece of content you post is high quality, it's well crafted, it's specialized, that is going to gain attention for that piece of content, because that piece of content has the ability to land on anyone's For You feed. So if someone watches that piece of content and they spend 5 to 15 seconds on it, the next person spends 20 seconds, next person spends 30 seconds, people start sharing that piece of content. That is how the content goes viral. And that's really how the algorithm works. It's based on people's behaviors. So the amount of time you spend watching, if you share a video, if you like the video, that's really the essence behind the algorithm. So it's content-based versus contact. So number of followers is not really important. It's really like, what is the value in that piece of content? How are you connecting with people? How authentic is that piece of content? Yeah, so that's on the algorithm.
Yeah. So this is what we'll do. By the way, a lot of people thank TikTok for that because they found it tough to break out or break through with the other platforms. So let's speak with someone who's been cracking the algorithm of sorts. We're joined on the program by content creator Edna Francis. Over 1 million views on TikTok.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for having me.
And you know, I'm sure you can relate well with what she's talking about. You know, cracking the algorithm. 5 followers gets 1 million views, and you're like, what? How did that happen? This is something you probably not get on other platforms. So speak to us about your experience as a content creator on TikTok. How you were able to get that much views? Because 1 million views is not beans.
Okay, beautiful. My name is Edna Francis. I am an entertainment content creator for TikTok, and I joined TikTok in 2020, a little after the pandemic, but I started taking my TikTok seriously in December 2022, and by seriously, I started putting out movie reviews, and that was because I love watching movies, horror movies especially, because I was introduced to horror movies by my dad. So it was just a fun thing I was doing, and then my numbers started growing, and I decided to just, you know, keep doing it, and then they noticed me. So I would say do not focus on the numbers, because if you focus on the numbers, you might just lose interest in whatever you're doing. So the numbers just happened, not like I actively wanted to get the numbers that I have now. So the numbers I have now, they have to do with consistency and putting out authentic content. Yeah.
So, Edna, talk to us about the money. I'm sure that's what young Nigerians are about.
That was a goal always.
Yeah, that's a goal. So, for initiates who are, you know, building capacity, getting the cameras, getting the ring lights, and they want to start building content, how do they navigate through the environment such that they now arrive at that destination where money begins to come in? And how long, you know, would they need to put in before they get to that money-making destination on TikTok?
Okay, so for TikTok, it is about putting out authentic content. You have to be yourself. Number one, if you're looking to be a content creator on TikTok, you have to be yourself, and you also have to be consistent, because you can never tell when you would get the next viral video. So when you're consistent, you're putting out the right amount of authenticity into what you do, and you are communicating with your audience, because TikTok is big on community. So you're communicating with your audience, you're interacting with your comments, you're liking their comments. You would never know, you understand? So don't focus on, it's just like music. There was a time music wasn't like a big thing in Nigeria. If you wanted to do music, your parents would be like, come on, you have to be a doctor or you have to be a lawyer. It doesn't mean that even those that can't sing should now go ahead and do music now that it is a thing, you know? So if you're not passionate about content creation, you can't do it. You understand? So if you're passionate about it, you can do it and eventually get to a point where you get brand deals, you get partnerships, and even payments from the platform itself.
So your own experience, of course. I want to hear it.
I have worked with different brands from my niche. I've worked with Prime Video for Last One Laughing. I've also worked with Prime Video for Gangs of Lagos. I have worked with Film One for the release of Barbie. It was a live takeover. I have worked with Film House. I can go on and on. I have worked with Film One for Equalizer.
So this has been lucrative for you.
Very, very,
so from
very.
TikTok, your money, you didn't just make your money within TikTok.
Of course.
It took you out, and then you you still made the money.
Of course,
also multiple streams of income.
Of course, because I even ventured out of partnership with just the TikTok itself. I did like a partnership with Wow Nigeria as sponsor for BB Niger. So it's actually very lucrative for me.
Fantastic. And I'll come to Boniswa now. Now I want to focus on how to make money within TikTok. A lot of people don't like the fact that if you have a local account, you can't get money into your account or something. So people have to find other ways to get gifts, monies. I'm sorry, this is not something I'm fasting. I just checked my TikTok and realized I have not been, I've not been engaging as much. But it's good to say I have over 700,000, views overall. So in terms of ensuring that even though you're in Nigeria, you have a Nigerian account, you're able to make money. What is TikTok doing in that light? And what are the other ways you can make money within TikTok for Nigerians who are resident in Nigeria?
Okay, so I'll start off by discussing some of the monetization features that we have available on the platform. So I would say the two features that are the most lucrative for creators. So the first one is live gifting. So in order for you to earn from live gifting, you need to have 300 plus followers. You need to make sure that you're adhering to community guidelines to make sure that your account is in good standing. That is then when viewers who are watching your live have the ability to reward you by sending you live gifts. The second one is video gifting. So the eligibility criteria for video gifting is 10,000 plus creators, 10,000 plus followers. Again, with that, you need to make sure that you have a good standing account. You need to make sure that you're not in violation of any of the community guidelines. We do have other monetization offerings. So for example, we have one called Work with Artist. So what that means is if an artist wants to promote their song, they will upload their song onto the platform, and then you as a creator has the ability to create a video for that artist, because artists want their songs to go viral. So that's another way in which you can make money on the platform. So I think those are the three main ones
but the first two, right? Can you do Nigerian accounts?
So I think from a extraction perspective or getting the funds extracted, that happens through a third-party vendor. We don't necessarily take care of the payments into the accounts, but we do definitely make the provision for those creators to be rewarded. Yeah.
So if I'm a Nigerian and I open with the Nigerian account, I get access to the live the gifts, the live video gifts. You have to help me out here. But the live video gifts, right?
Yeah.
And then the video gifts themselves.
Yeah. So live gifting. So that's basically if you go live, then you get gifted or you get rewarded. And then video gifting is for the actual video. So yeah, that's
so all Nigerian creators are eligible to.
Yeah, all eligible Nigerian creators have the ability to be gifted or awarded by their users. Yeah.
Now, very quickly, talk to us about regulation on TikTok. Earlier on, you talked about age range from being about 13, or is it 16 now?
So TikTok is a 13 plus app.
Yes. So how are those underage protected from accessing content that is beyond what their mind's capacity, can take on? And in recent times as well, on another part of the conversation, there's been outrage on security concerns following release of videos of bandits, showing off ransom payment, putting out. They actually have, TikTok accounts as well. So there's concern about that. So talk to about regulation in that space for those concerns.
Yeah. So I mean, trust and safety is. I don't think it's something that has a full stop. It's it's not something that you begin today and you say my job is done, because using platforms like TikTok, it's a dynamic environment. You don't know what you may face tomorrow. So I think from a trust and safety perspective, we've always been committed to making sure that we're innovating. We've always been committed to making sure that we're localizing. We've increased the number of moderators we have from a safety perspective as well, to make sure that moderators actually understand languages, understand local languages. So I think that's the very first thing to stress, is that Safety is an ongoing thing. It's something that we're committed to in the long term, and we're constantly innovating and we're constantly investing to make sure that we're keeping our users safe and to make sure that creators feel that it's a platform where they can express themselves safely. So yeah, we're committed to ensuring that if an issue comes up that we didn't face yesterday, we tackle that head on. We work with our government stakeholders, we work with our NGO partners as well, some of our fact checkers to help us ensure that we keep a safe platform. From a age perspective, or from the perspective of ensuring that we keep our users safe. So we've got a number of safety features on the platform. So I think the first one that I can speak to is the family pairing feature. So what the family pairing feature does is it enables a parent to pair their account to their teen's account. That parent can then set specific filters on that teen's account. So the first thing is that your account will automatically be on private if you're a teen. Right. So that means that you can't have strangers, coming to you, sending you messages. You can't have strangers watching your content. You can't have strangers downloading your content. So that's one of the protective mechanisms that we have. You can also filter your comments. You can filter comments and you can filter specific keywords in messages that you don't want there. So we've invested quite a lot to make sure that we are enhancing our safety features that help parents keep their teens safe. Right. So yeah, that's the family pairing feature.
We're totally out of time, but two issues we have to touch on. First, a starter pack for content creators. What do you need? Ring light and all of that. What is a starter pack? And I need you to speak about fake news. Okay. Handling fake news, because people just post stuff and then they take it as gospel, and then you just realize that no, this is not true. So what is your platform doing to handle fake news? I know there's a global politics, US, China, the talk about the ban and all of that, but regarding fake news, what are the features available? We have less than a minute and a half to go on this one.
Yeah, so for misinformation and disinformation are key topics that we focus on from a trust and safety perspective, and the way in which we tackle that is we partner with fact checkers in market to help us ensure that we're verifying content. As a user on the platform, if for some reason the algorithm or the system can sense or detect that something that you might be posting is potentially harmful, you actually get a pop-up before you post a video that asks you, are you sure you want to post this video? So we do have specific features that help us combat misinformation as well as disinformation on the platform.
That's really big. And election year, it's a big election year globally. Edna, starter pack for content creation.
Okay, so for starters, you have yourself and your smartphone.
That's the most important thing.
That's the most important thing. If you don't have money for ring lights, use the sunlight. Yeah.
And maybe the money for the ring light will come in the course of the
Ladies, it's been beautiful having this conversation with you. Clearly, this is also new gold for Nigeria, crude oil content creation, and we hope that Nigeria continues to create rather than just consume alone. Create and take the lead, because we're in Nigeria, right? No shades here. Well, I have to thank you so much, Bonizwa Asidwaba, who's the head of content operations for Sub-Saharan Africa, TikTok. I'm tempted to give you a Nigerian name, but I imagine you have a long list.
She has one already.
I have one. I think it's Ada.
But Ada?
Yeah, from
Igbo.
Yes,
Beautiful.
Ada, right?
Yeah.
Don't worry, but you have a long list. So we love these things. And Edna Francis, content creator, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much for having me.
Well, there you have it. That's where we anchor. So keep creating great content. Push it out there. Tell the Nigerian story, the African story. Let the world hear your voice. But we have to anchor here, okay? Sunrise Daily is next. I'm Kayode Okikili.
So if you're the uninitiated, are you convinced already to get on board? Yeah, get on board. It's the new oil. We'll be back on Monday. Have a blast this weekend. I'm Bukola Koka. Bye for now.